we didn't have a class yesterday. We didn't have a class yesterday, but so we'll take off. We'll start from where we left off. So what do we say? If you are in your house and a strap of your sandal breaks, if it's one of the straps from the outside, in other words, facing outside of you, then you can't move the sandal. It's useless. It's muktzeh. Because in those days, those type of sandals, if the outside strap broke, no one would fix it because it looked bad. It looked bad. It looked sloppy, terrible. But if the inside strap, the strap that's on the side that's between your legs, the inside of the foot, if that broke, then it's not muktzeh, because that's the type of thing that people do fix up. It's not so noticeable. That's what we said before. Remember in the laws that we said before. And then in the end, if you remember the end, let's just look at the end of the previous law here. Right. No, that's the previous one, I'm sorry. Here it is. Right, that's what it said. If the outside one breaks, then it's muktzeh. If the inside strap breaks, then it is not muktzeh and it's permissible to carry it. Okay, now we're going to go to this. It says this is talking about in the sandals that were back then, in those days. That what was it? It was just a piece of leather on the bottom, and it had something like two sort of flaps on the side that didn't go up very much because you want it to be open. Sandal, it's hot. And those two flaps, each one of them had a strap on it, and you would tie the strap together on the top. Well, if that leather broke, if it broke on the outside, then people usually didn't fix it, and therefore the sandal becomes unusable, and with that, immediately it becomes muktzeh. But if the strap breaks on the inside, and there's the side that's one facing the other and the inside of your legs, then it is the way of people to fix it up. So therefore, it's now totally muktzeh. This was only talking about the sandals back then. That if the strap gets broken, it's impossible to put it on at all. There's nothing to hold on to the shoe. But our sandals now, in our days, if one strap breaks, you can still put it on, and it's still considered to be a vessel. It's permissible to carry it in any case. Well, I don't know what our sandals are now exactly, what he's really referring to, but for sure you don't see sandals like that anymore, what they had. I mean, it could be that maybe they had, they have these sandals where there's one little loop where your big toe goes through in the front, and that holds on the front part of it. And then you have a strap that holds on the back of it. That's like goes over the top, and you tie that strap, the one on the left side to the one on the right side, you tie it right over your foot. And therefore, it holds it on together. Your toe fits into this little ring, and that holds the front on. But if the big strap breaks, then the toe part won't help. But nowadays, it could be our sandals that we have now, that it's already covered over on them. Instead of just your toe going through, there's a place for your whole foot to go through, but it's just sort of open. It has holes in it. But then it has on the back of it, there's a strap that holds the whole thing on. In any case, whatever it is, nowadays the straps, the shoes that we have now, even the sandals that we have now, if the strap breaks, you can still put it on. There's a thing called flip-flops in America they have. Anyway, you can still carry it. You can still carry it. It still is still considered to be a vessel, and it is not muktzeh, even though the strap breaks. What if you have a shirt that you put on, and you stuck in the shirt a hanger? And what type of a hanger? Back then, they didn't have regular hangers like we have. A hanger, it was just a stick, a short stick, and you put it in the thing, and maybe you tied a little string on it and hung it up somewhere. And you stuck in the shirt a stick before Shabbat in order to hang it up, in order, let's say, to dry it. So it's permissible to remove this shirt from the stick. Now, like I say, the stick is not really a vessel. You just used it temporarily to hang up the shirt on. But to take the stick from inside of it is forbidden. Why? Because the stick is really not a vessel. It's just a stick you found, and so your shirt is all wet. You can't put it on, and you hang it up to dry. In the middle of Shabbos, it's already dried, right? Can you take the shirt off the stick? Of course you can. Can you take the stick out? No, can't take the stick out unless you want to take it out with your teeth or something. But you can't move it with your hands because it's not really a vessel. Elim can, unless you specially made the stick for this. You took the stick and you separated it specially. She'az then nase alav torat kli. Then the stick becomes a vessel al yedei yichud by means of singling it out for a hanger. You're going to say, this stick is now my hanger. Then it's okay to move it and touch it. But what if you stuck inside of the shirt, you stuck a vessel? You stuck a vessel. What type of a vessel you have? Let's say you have a flute, a cheap flute. You know, they have these, what was it, this potato flutes, whatever they called it, a flute. And it's got these holes in it and stuff like that. So you want to hang up your shirt to dry. So you put this flute you hang the shirt over it, right? You used it like a stick, and you find like a piece of string, something, you tie it up and hang it somewhere. Is that okay? Says yes. Then certainly you can move out this flute, even if it's a vessel that's for a forbidden purpose, like the flute is. You can't play music on Shabbos. Nevertheless, since it is a vessel, and since you used it for what do you do? Since now you want to move it out for its place, namely what? Chalal lachaluk, the inside of the shirt, that the stick is inside of it. So therefore, you need the place, you can move it. Oh, one second. Yeah. Okay, that was the same laws we had, if you remember, a few laws ago about the shoe horn. That people put a shoe horn or a shoe tree or whatever it's called inside of a shoe, and the shoe horn is absolutely not for any permissible purpose. You can't stretch leather on Shabbat, and that's what the shoe horn does. You put it inside your shoe, but you can move it because you need the place. The shoe horn is filling up the shoe. You can't put your foot in it. Law number 47. Akira, an oven. Okay, it used to be, they used to have ovens. Nowadays we have ovens. The oven's like a square, or sometimes it's attached to the ground. So it hasn't got any feet on it or anything. An oven that one of its, in those days they used to have an oven. The ovens like these pot belly ovens or whatever, and it used to have feet. It used to stand on, the legs. If you have an oven that one of its legs fell off, namely pitutav, the legs that it has, it's like raglaim. It's sort of like it's bent on the end, right? So can you move this foot that fell off of the oven? Can you move it? You can't move it. This leg, you can't move it. Because there, we're going to see how this applies to a chair or to a table, which is much more practical nowadays. But we can also apply this to other things that happen now. Because the worry is maybe you'll put this foot of this oven that fell off, you'll try to put it back on the oven and stick it in there in a way that's going to be permanent. And then that's forbidden because of building. You can't build on Shabbos. Cain, similarly, safsol aroch, a long bench, shenishmata achad me'raglayav, that one of its feet fell off. Kol shechen shtayim, how much more? 2 feet fell off of this bench. Also, you cannot carry the bench and put it on another bench, and to sit on it. Okay, what's happening over here? Sometimes, I don't know if you have this over there, wherever you are, but it's very common that they have benches in synagogues or whatever. It's just a long plank of wood, maybe 20 feet long, sometimes they're 10 feet long. And usually they put on top of it a nice, covering, looks like a piece of wood that's stuck. What do they call it? You stick on a piece of wood that looks really nice. And and people sit on this bench. You can sit sometimes 10 people on the bench on one side of a table. And then they have another bench on the other side of the table. If the feet fall off of one side of this bench, so you can't sit on it. But what you could do is take the bench and drag it over to another bench and put it on the end of the other bench, so that the 2 end feet of the other bench serve as the end feet for both benches. The bench that it's already attached to, and also this other bench that you brought over, the crippled bench that doesn't have any legs, pulled it over, and you put it on top of the one. Can you do that? Pretty good idea. You can't do it. Can't do it. Why not? I mean, if you want to sit down, nah. Also, you cannot move this bench, at least with your hands, and put it on this other. And said, why? Even nishmato regel mi b'od yom, even if these feet fell off before the holiday. Elaim can, unless yashav alav kach pam achat kodem Shabbat. Unless you sat on this bench, the broken bench, with the legs off, you sat on it once before Shabbat. Then you don't have to worry, Shema Yimluch, maybe you'll change your mind, Lachzira, to put the original 2 legs that fell off, and the Tokea b'Shabbos, maybe you'll go and get these other legs and fix them up. So what are we saying? The legs themselves you can't touch. What about the bench? The bench also, you cannot drag it over unless you sat on it without the legs before Shabbat. Why can't you drag it over and put it on another bench? Because if you do that, you might get someone who'll get an idea. Say, listen, why should we do this? Let's just take the legs that fell off and use them as the base. And then if you start doing that, you might say, hey, let's take the legs, instead of using these two legs that fell off as a very wobbly base, let's just give it a little hit over here, right? You give it a little schmeiss, and all of a sudden everything is fixed up. And that's good. Now we have a good Shabbos. Can you do that? No, you can't. It is forbidden to put the leg back on Shabbos, even to put it there lightly. It's a decree. Maybe you will stick the legs back on strongly. Unless it happens to be a type of a bench that people sit on it even when the legs are not firmly in, like we're going to explain in another chapter. Calls this is talking about regel. This is talking about if the feet of the bench fall off. If they fall off. Im nishbra, but if the legs broke, then you can carry the safsel. Then you can carry it and to put it on another bench and to sit on it, even if you've never sat before Shabbos. Why? If the legs of the table, they were stuck in to the bench and they fell out, they just got loose, then there's a worry you're going to stick them back in there permanently. But if it broke, no one's going to take the legs and start fixing them up and take a saw and a hammer and nails and start working on it. That's not a worry that you're going to do that. So if the legs broke off in such a way that would require a lot of effort to put them back on, then you can drag the bench that doesn't have legs and put it on the end of another bench that does have legs so that you can use both of them. Ein lechush, you don't have to worry. Maybe you will go and fix it up. It's caven since the rosha nishar b'sit, because the one end of this leg is still stuck in the bench, and so it's not easy to fix it up. So therefore, what do we learn? If the legs of a bench become loose, they were stuck in, inserted, and they fell out, then you can't touch them, and you can't even touch the bench unless you sat on it without the legs before Shabbos. But if it broke off, then you can use it, then it's all right. Let's do one more. So we just did, right? Yes. Last one, let's see this. What if you have stacks of bricks that remained after a building was built? Someone built a building and they left a bunch of bricks. Now, bricks are really nice things to have around. You know, on Shabbos, have a brick. You can sit on it. You can put your food on it. Mutar l'taltam is permissible to carry them because if the bricks are already, this is what's left over. So the bricks are not singled out for building. You can do whatever you want to. No one's going to use these bricks for building. The building is already built and these bricks are left over. Therefore, they are considered to be a vessel. And if you arrange them, but if you set the bricks one on top of the other, not like a table or what, then you revealed that you do want to use them for building, maybe in the future, and it's forbidden to carry them because they are not considered to have a law of a vessel. They are not a vessel. They're like stones, and you cannot touch them at all. Even if you have a reason, you cannot use these bricks. Even if you have a reason, even if you have a purpose, even if you need the place, You cannot move these bricks because you set them aside for building. They are no longer considered to be vessels. As we'll talk about more, God willing, next week. Tomorrow is Thursday. We're continuing in our mimer. Please be with us at 8:15 in the morning. All right, everyone? Looking forward to seeing you all. God bless you. And Litrot. Shalom.
Thank you.